the part, I'll have to do my little speech as usual. For anybody on the public listening in or wanting to participate, this is what is called a quasi-judicial meeting, and therefore, to protect your future right, please state your name and address so our planning clerk can record the information. And if somebody is of the French language and has a hard time understanding the process, please feel free to bring this to our attention and we'll translate it to make sure that every participant fully understand what is going on. So now we'll go on to item C63/21, please.
I think I had a mover and a second. Roger, Burns. It is moved by Roger Gagnon and seconded by Frank Pellerin that a consent application made by Sean Clifford to create 3 new lots at 226 Kipling East Road in Verner, being part of Lot 11, Concession 2 in the Township of Badgerell. 3, Mr. Chair. This application is by Sean Clifford, who is the son of the deceased previous owner who had made the 3 lots that you can see that are already there. We did receive one expression of concern, which I believe Tanya sent to you earlier this afternoon, and I did indicate to Mr. Nolet that I would read his concern aloud, which was, my name is Dwayne Nolet. My wife's name is Lisa Martin. We live at 185 Kipling East. Just wanted to voice our concerns about the possibility of our area becoming a tent city. I hope the municipality will implement a requirement for new landowners to actually build a residence within a specified time. Right now, we have a new landowner that has turned this property into a junkyard. My concern is that if bylaws aren't put in place requiring people to keep their properties from becoming a tent city, the new owners will negatively affect their existing property values. New property owners should leave the property vacant until they're ready to start building a legitimate residence. I have no issue with Mr. Clifford selling his properties, but I'd like the municipality to give us assurances that our beautiful community does not become a recreational dumping and storage of junk site. Can you please respond? So I did speak to the individual and advise that we do have property standards bylaws, and that if he has concerns with issues on his neighbor's property, there's a process. So I think he just wanted to let it be known that he's hoping that these will be some nice houses built around him. But he has no issue with the actual application.
Okay, thank you very much. And any other question or comments? Mr. Fisher, can I ask, could you realign your focus? Because when you raise your hand, I only see your hair. Okay, thank you. So any other question for the members? Hearing none. Anybody from the public has any question or comments? Hearing none, I will call it to a vote. Everybody in favor as presented? Carried. We go on to C66/21, please.
And then mover and a seconder, please. Roger, Chris. It is moved by Roger Gagnon and seconded by Chris Fisher that a consent application made by Burroughs Livestock Auction Limited to create 1 new lot at 12051A Highway 17 in Sturgeon Falls, being part of Lot 2, Concession 1 in the Township of Springer. Through you, Mr. Chair, as was indicated at the previous meeting where the application to rezone this property was presented and recommended by the Planning Committee, the intention here is to sever off the portion of the property which fronts on Highway 17. This is a very large lot that goes all the way from Highway 17 all the way to Goulard Road. So it's about a mile deep. And the intention is to sever off what was the original site of the Burroughs Livestock Auction property, to rezone it to commercial and potentially sell that parcel to a commercial landowner. Did I miss anything, Mr. Goodrich?
Nope, that's about it.
Oh, whoops. Sorry that I have to adjust my screen there. Okay. So any comment or question from the members? Any question or comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call this for a vote. Everybody in favor as presented, carried. C67/21, please.
Mover and seconder, please. Dennis? Vern? It is moved by Denise Senecal and seconded by Mr. Paladin that a consent application made by Allison Black to create 3 new lots at 1354 Betty Road in Verner, being part of lots 1 in the north half of lot 2, concession 3 in Caldwell Township. Is it Caldwell? I think it is. In the municipality of West Nipissing. Oh, I'm fibbing. It is in Kirkpatrick. We're over the line. She's right. Through you, Mr. Chair, this property is at the extreme dead end of Betty Road. For those of you who are not sure, don't know where Betty Road is the first right turn off of Highway 64 when you go over the tracks in Verner. And it goes for a long ways and eventually runs into a dead end, which is the location of these lots. What is being proposed here is to create, you'll see there's Mr. Goodrich has shown the turnaround, the municipal turnaround on here. You'll see it kind of veers up, and a condition of severance is obviously conveyance of that portion of the municipal road allowance so that these properties will all have frontage. Am I missing anything, Mr. Goodrich? All the property, all the lots are of sufficient size and depth to meet the zoning bylaw. But it.
Yeah, all have well in excess of the minimums required, some greatly in excess.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I believe this is kind of a bush lot, eh? A very little Arab land there, eh?
That's correct. There is some open fields just around where the house and extending over into the severed one, but the vast majority of it is bush. Severed 2 and 3, I believe, are all entirely within forested areas.
Any question or comments? Yes, Mr. Fern?
Just out of curiosity, Mel, is the road owned by the municipality all the way to the turnaround?
Yeah, well, it will be. It's a forced road now, so we have jurisdiction over it because of statute labor. But part of the conditions of this will be to convey the paper title to the municipality.
Okay.
Yeah, but the grader does go there a few times during the summer, right up to the turnaround.
It's part
So
of our.
There's been some municipal spending on that road in the past.
Okay.
Any other question or comments from the members? Any question or comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call it to a vote. Everybody in favor as presented? Carried. We'll go on to item C6821, please.
Mover and seconder, please.
Pardon?
Yes. It is moved by Roger Gagnon and seconded by Denise Senecal that a consent application made by 1751097 Ontario LTD to create a lot addition at 696 LaPage Road in Verner, being part of lot 2, concession C in the township of Caldwell. I think I forgot to note on my summary, this is a resubmission of an application which lapsed. This is, if you will recall, the persons, they own a small lot. When you go to if you're going to the second entrance of Camp LaPage, there are 2 small lots just at the end, just before you go on to Forte Road. And Mr. and Mrs. McLean purchased one of these lots a number of years ago. They had their trailer there, but they'd like to build a home. They don't have enough room on their lot for a field bed. So the purpose of this application was to acquire a little piece of property from the owners of Camp LaPage in order to, that they would have enough sufficient space to install a field bed on their property so they can build. However, there was I guess, a mix-up with the lawyers, and it was allowed to lapse. So this is just a resubmission of an application that was previously approved.
So there's nothing new in this application, then it's just
Absolutely.
any question or comments from the members? Any question or comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call it to a vote. Everybody in favor as presented? Carried. We'll go on to C 6921.
I'm gonna move in second, please. Yes. Nine. It is moved by Chris Fisher and seconded by Fern Pellerin that a consent application made by Remo and Lorraine Bruyette to create a new lot at 960 Betty Road in Verner, being the west half of Lot 9, Concession 3 in the Township of Caldwell. Mr. Chair, this is a very straightforward application. What is being proposed here, Mr. and Mrs. Bruyette are getting on in years. I believe want to sell their big dwelling and downsize, and are wish to maintain the farmland that is behind the property. So that is pretty much all that's being asked here.
I couldn't figure this one out. So they're removing the house from the farm.
That's correct. It's my understanding that their son will continue to farm the farm, or I don't know if they have it rented or whatever, but the house is a bit bigger. I believe they're hoping to move into the new residences.
So this one has no implication on the agricultural policy. It's not.
No, and
doesn't
it is
form-
not located in the A1 or abutting any A1 property, so
Mhm.
it's in the rural zone, although
Yeah.
there are farm fields for sure around that, in that property for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Any
No
question?
impact on the abutting lands.
Okay, any question or comments from the members? Any question or comment from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call it to a vote. Everyone in favor as presented? Carried. C 7121, please.
And who were seconded? Sorry. Yes. Right. It is moved by Denise DeCal and seconded by Roger Gagnon that a consent application made by Rock and Carol Rochon. Is this a lot addition or a new lot? This is a new lot.
That's a
For a
new
new
lot.
lot is correct, yes, for a new lot at 10188 Highway 64 in Living. The new, so that's why I was confused here. The three, Mr. Chair, this is a piece of property, very large parcel, fronts on Highway 64 and Cochine Road. It's a mile deep. What is being proposed here is to sever off 17 hectares at the Cochine Road end. That's it.
Mhm. Is Mr. Paul has anything to add? I see your name on it.
Yeah, that's one of ours, but no, it's a very large severance. Each of the severed and retained still have frontage on municipal roads or provincial highway.
Yeah, and as far as I know, this is zone rural and not ag, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so any question or comments from the members? Any question or comments from the audience? Hearing none, I will call it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. We'll go on to C 72, please.
Mover and seconder. Yes. It is moved by Denise Anacal and seconded by Frank Pellerin that a consent application made by Mitch Deschatelet to create a new lot at 452 Canal Road in Sturgeon Falls, being part of Lot 4, Concession B in the Township of Springer. Through you, Mr. Chair, if you look on the sketch, this property is directly abutting a property which we saw two previous applications by Edgar and Marie Canel. It's directly abutting. The owner is aware that this property is located within the Lake Nipissing floodplain and that there are restrictions with regard to this particular property as it relates to development and windows and door openings and elevation, which would be handled through the building department. There is a municipal drain on the property, the apportionment which will have to be addressed through a section 65 agreement. And any portion of the municipal roadway should be conveyed to the municipality at the owner's cost. I think that's about all.
Yeah, and as far as I know, this applicant knows very well how to deal with land that has either some wet issue or what, because I believe they're a very active farmer, and the type of farming they do is close to the water level in some places, and they haven't figured out how to deal with it. So I don't expect they would have any problem there.
And then there's a municipal drain on the property.
On the property
For
too.
outlet. of any
Yeah,
drainage.
Mr. Deschatelet, before I give you the floor, I have to ask if the board member have any question. Board member, okay, Mr. Deschatelet, it's your turn to talk.
Okay, when I applied with Mr. Goulet, I didn't think about it, and the property that was like the severance that was applied on the paper that you see, it seems to be right next to the municipal drain. And I am worried that this could cause issues in the future. I know that because it's a municipal drain, yes, the municipality has a right way to clean the drain, but I believe it would be better to move 200 feet, like sort of to move one lot over to the east instead of having this severance right next to the municipal drain.
Yeah, because beside the municipal drain, I believe the municipality has a 9-meter working easement automatically, right? So
Yeah,
that's quite a land that could, if somebody buys it that is not comfortable with agricultural activities, might create problems. That's what you would like to eliminate, the possibility of future misunderstanding.
yes, I would like just to move it 200 feet from the where we have applied, just 200 feet over.
Okay. I see Mr. Goulet is raising his hand. Do you have
I've sent-
comments
I've-
to add to this?
Yeah, I've sent an updated sketch to Melanie this morning.
Okay, so the members, we have not received it yet, I believe, eh?
No, Melanie didn't get it.
I will be honest, I was in meetings most of the day.
Sorry. The updated sketch was sent. It's 200 feet over, sent it through. Exactly
so-
what Mitch is talking about. Nothing's changed. It's only the location of the severance. Everything, the hectares, size, everything is actually the same thing, only 200 feet over.
So then this would eliminate the future possibility of a problem with the municipal drain.
I'm just gonna open up my email. I do, like I said, Don, I do apologize. I've been in meetings most of the day and I have not had a lot of chance to check my emails. So where was that?
And hopefully I did send it because I did do it.
Yes, I did get it. I see it here in my emails. I
So-
do see it.
so
And
it's-
I'll share my screen so that the committee can see what's being proposed.
So it's been confirmed by the municipal planner that this takes place. So the voting will be as amended with the new drawing. Everybody comfortable with that amendment?
This is, if you can see on the screen, this is what Mr. Deschamps is referring to, and this is what is being requested. So the lot, instead of just butting right up against that, that boundary would be set over 200 or set over 200 feet in
Okay.
order to beat the drain.
So, yeah, I appreciate the move because, when you deal with people that are not familiar with farming activities, sometimes you can run into issues. So by eliminating possible issue right up front is, I think, to the municipal advantage. So any other question or comments? Hearing none, I'll call it to a vote. Everybody in favor as amended by the supplementary plan? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Deschâtellier, for expressing your concern and rectifying.
And I do apologize, Don. Did you call me and let me know? Anyway, it's good.
Okay, so we'll go on to number C-7021, please.
With your permission, Mr. Chair, we can present C-7021 and MD 2021-15 as one up together because they are related files.
I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay. So we'll start with the consent. I'll need a mover and a seconder for both, please. Yes. It is moved by Chris Fisher and seconded by Raji Gagnon that a consent application made by SBK Completion Solutions, Inc. to create 3 new lots on Island B88, parcel 7047, the east part of Island B8 in Loudon Township, and the minor variance made by the same applicant for property described as Island 88 to reduce minimum front yards or to reduce minimum lot area from 1 hectare to 0.5 of a hectare. So through you, Mr. Chair, as you'll see from my notes, I am not recommending this application. We had an application from the same applicant back a few months ago where a severance and minor variance were granted. The minor variance at the time was to reduce it down to 0.8 of a hectare, and that was approved for 3 lots. The intention with this is, if approved, to withdraw the application, the approval granted by the previous application to proceed with the 4 lots. I don't believe this is in conformity with our official plan, notwithstanding the letter which the applicant has provided from the Conservation Authority, which indicates that that technical studies will show. I don't believe that our policies, the intent of our policies is to deliberately create new lots of a smaller recommendation. I believe that the policies and requiring the studies is to support situations where minimum areas cannot be achieved due to some level of hardship, lack of original lot area. I don't believe that creating 4 lots on this island is I don't think it's a good idea. I don't believe it's in conformity with our official plan or zoning bylaw, and I'm sure that Mr. Goodridge is going to say something different, so I'll let him speak.
Yeah, and also we have to keep track that to support a minor variance, it's got to pass 4 basic tests, and I don't think as municipal planner has mentioned, that it does pass those tests quite properly. So anyway, board members, do you have any question or comments? I see everybody is concentrating on their forms there, trying to figure this one out. Yes, Mr. Senecal. Whoops, we don't hear you.
Okay, I'm coming.
Okay.
I'll be the first. Is it because the lots are too small, Melanie? Is that your concern? Or?
That is correct. They've already, the lots are less, their lots are half of what our policy documents are recommending as a minimum. We had already agreed to go down to, 2/3 of what was the recommendation on the previous application. And I believe that this, there's no necessity. I don't mean to be bold, but there's no necessity. There's no contributing factor that is leading to this request other than there's no physical impediments to actually meeting. This property is big enough to meet all of the requirements, just not with as many lots.
Okay, Mr. Fisher.
So I'm just trying to remember. I remember the island, but I don't remember the specifics. But essentially, this is like a minor variance on a. We already gave a minor variance, and we're kind of. This is a minor variance on a minor variance. Would that be?
Well, as I'd indicated, the intent is that if this particular application is approved, then they would withdraw the previous, now you can't withdraw a minor variance. It's given, this minor variance would supersede the old one, but they would withdraw the previous severance application, and which was for 3 lots instead of 4.
Okay, any other, I guess, I see there's a stamp on it there. Do you have any comments from the consultant? Now is your time to try and sell it, but it's not looking good, Paul.
Well, you gotta like a challenge. Anyway, with all due respect to Melanie's opinion on this, obviously, we do have a differing opinion. If anyone was on council, and I'm not sure if anyone was at the time that the official plan was approved by the municipality, it was held up for quite some time, getting it ratified through Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, because the municipality appealed their own official plan to the Ontario Municipal Board, because the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing were recommending a minimum lot size of 1 hectare for all new lot creation within the municipality. The municipality took Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to the OMB specifically to allow waterfront lot creation based on a smaller size, as long as it was a minimum of 0.4 hectares or 1 acre in size, and as long as there were studies provided or information provided that justified that it was suitable for the intended use. The intended use here is to create new cottage lot development within the municipality. We're asking for a reduction down to the 0.5 hectares, which would be 1.25 acres. You'll notice on your sketch that Severed 2 is what this would apply to, and that's at 1.3 acres in size. So just slightly in excess of the minimum that we're asking for. The other lots, Severed 1 is 1.44. The retained land is 1.75, and Severed 3 would have 1.86 acres of land, almost 2 acres in size. So we're going from a little more than 1.25 acres up to almost 2 acres in size. And the official plan for the municipality permits or supports new lot creation as long as we have at least 0.4 of a hectare. Now, the justification study, we were told if the Conservation Authority would support the creation of these lots and that they were suitable for on-site services, septic and well, or septic and drawing lake water, that this application may be favorably reviewed, because then it met both of the standards stipulated in the official plan as settled by the Ontario Municipal Board. We did, our client, Mr. Kolnischenko, did hire or pay to have the Conservation Authority attend on site. He showed the locations of potential building sites and potential septic sites for each of the 4 pieces of property. The Conservation Authority fully supported this. I would also point out that this is all the private land, I believe, on the island. The rest of the island is Crown land. So we are in a limited acreage type of situation. We're just simply trying to make the highest and best use out of the land that we have, as supported by the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority. I see Mel is furiously researching while I'm speaking, and maybe I shouldn't have spoken so long to give her so much time to look up this stuff, but that was my understanding. The fact that anything above 2 would necessitate a subdivision. To me, subdivisions are only required when we're providing municipal services and we have to enter into a subdivision agreement. In this particular case, we're out on an island. We're definitely not going to build a road. We're not going to build a bridge, and we're not going to put water and sanitary sewers to the site. So in my opinion, this is one of those situations where no matter how many lots are created, really a plan of subdivision is unnecessary. And we have done other lots or other approvals on 3 plus a retained in the rural areas.
Okay, Mr. Paul, the thing is, unless I didn't look at my package properly, I don't see, we didn't get any of that information that you mentioned from the Conservation Authority confirming. I guess it's only a verbal information that you got on this?
I do apologize. Through you, Mr. Chair, I apologize. I was not in the office on Friday when the agenda went out, and I believe that Tanya, I'm not throwing my assistant under the bus. It did not get included in the package. We did receive a letter from the Conservation Authority addressed to the applicant stating that the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority has received and reviewed the application for the review of a planning proposal. Actually, this letter says to create 3 new lots.
Plus the retained.
I guess, okay, yes, that's right. So they're talking about the retained as a separate piece of property. The following comments are based on Part 8 sewage systems of OREG 33212. The investigation undertaken by the Conservation Authority and any conclusions or recommendations made reflect the North Bay Mattawa Conservation judgment based on information in the site inspection. The site inspection was undertaken on October the 7th, 2021. Each property consisted of a flat area which was suitable for development. There appeared to be sufficient room on severed 1, 2, and 3, as well as the retained lands to accommodate an initial and replacement Class 4 sewage disposal system based on a 3-bedroom single-family dwelling with a floor area of less than 200 square meters and 20 fixture units, 18 meters from Lake Nipissing.
So according to the Conservation Authority, the measurement they took, it would conform to all the, distance requirement from the water bodies and
Yes.
And the land quality and everything.
Yeah, my concern was that again, the intent of our plan is to preserve our lands and our water bodies. And I don't believe that the language in our official plan is meant to be as of right. I believe that it's meant to be on an exception basis.
Mhm.
And I know that council, you'll remember, Mr. Chair, because you were on council when we wrangled with the Ontario Municipal Board about this particular issue.
I remember, I remember all the arguments
And
pretty
I have
well.
to, as a good doobie who has a zoning bylaw and an official plan to uphold, I have to recommend against this because it does not meet our zoning bylaw, it does not meet our official plan, in my view. However, it's entirely within the purview of this committee to make whatever decision it deems appropriate. I apologize for the letter not being in your agenda. That was an oversight, and I hope you will
No,
give me 40 lashes.
no problem. Now that we've been made aware of it. And back to Mr. Paul, I'll be with you, Mr. Fisher, in a minute, is that whatever the municipality at the time back in 12 years ago, any discussion or argument he had with municipal affair, I think what we have to consider tonight is the final product and not which council member was on which side and not on this side. It's the result and the decision that was written down that we have to abide by, okay? I appreciate you bringing back old memories.
I can, if the
Because
committee.
I was part of the process back then, and I did have concern the way you mentioned it, but I guess then we have to live with whatever the province finally thrown at us and what we put up with. The fact that Conservation Authority has endorsed the project kinds of change, maybe a bit of my perspective on it. Without going further and trying to influence anybody, I'll give it Mr. Fisher. I believe you've raised your hand a couple of times, and then followed by Mr. Seneca. Yes,
So
Chris.
one of my questions, you just answered it because I figured you were around at the time. So you agree, are you validating that because when Mr. Goodrich made that argument, it was a good argument. So you're validating that that actually took place, and we did argue for, there was an argument for less space.
Okay, what I said, Mr. Fisher, is that although this argument took place, we have to abide, but whatever was finally approved, like council member will have discussion sometime for months on one issue, but I think the legal part of it is what is decided in the final discussion. And
Right.
so that's why the municipal planner has to give the advice that she did, because her hands are tied. She cannot tell us to do it otherwise. And that, like she
Right.
mentioned, the board member have the authority to make a decision that's a little bit more lenient. Okay, I'm clear now? Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Fisher,
and
then,
supplemental to that.
okay.
So supplemental to that, when we're talking about minimum areas, shoreline residential, do we make any differentiation between if you're sort of, on the shore of Lake Nipissing, or if you're on an island? Is that in the plan, or is that just shoreline
No.
residential?
Waterfront property.
Shoreline residential
waterfront
is-
Property.
Waterfront is waterfront,
If it fronts on water, the policies are the same.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
Now-
thank you.
yeah, okay, now, Mr. Senecal, Denis?
Yeah, my question is to Paul, I guess. So you're saying, you confused me. So one hectare is the requirement, and we've allowed 0.5 hectares? Is that what you're saying, or?
No, what I'm saying is when the municipality first submitted their official plan to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing for their review, this would have been probably 13 or 14 years ago that it was submitted. The ministry then, they're charged with reviewing the entire official plan and making sure that it conforms to provincial policies. The review that was submitted to the ministry was for lot creation based on 0.4 of a hectare on the waterfront properties, if I remember correctly. But at that time during the review, the ministry was advocating for very much larger lots. So they were advocating for 1 hectare or 2.5 acres. And well, which was kind of funny because at the same time, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry was creating lots that were vastly smaller. But that's another whole argument entirely. But at the time this was proposed by the municipality, they were proposing for 1 acre lots on the water. The ministry came back and insisted that it be 1 hectare in size. And the municipality actually challenged the ministry over their own official plan and referred it to the Ontario Municipal Board. Eventually, there was minutes of settlement. It was never, I don't believe, a decision of the board.
It
was a
The
decision?
decision is in the official plan.
Oh, okay, thank you. So it was a decision of the board. They supported the municipality for
Sort
the
of.
creation of lots with a caveat. I'm coming to that. I'm not forgetting you, that it could be done, that lot creation could occur on waterfront properties with a minimum size of 0.4 of a hectare, as long as a minor variance was applied for and that there were justification studies done to support reducing it to 0.4 of a hectare or 1 acre. And in this case, it's our submission that we're well in excess of the 0.4 of a hectare. And in fact, the justification studies were provided by the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority, whose staff went to the site, reviewed the site conditions, and recommended its approval.
And I believe our municipal planner, Melanie, has something to add to your comments, Paul.
I did have
I'm sure
something
she
to
does.
add. I did have something to add, and what everyone is also missing. The official plan also states that where 3 or more new lots are being created, that they are to proceed by plan of subdivision, which is also entrenched in the official plan. This is an application for 4 lots where we have asked parties to do 4 lots by way of plan of subdivision. I'm concerned that the precedent being set here with regard to the smaller lots as of right with absolutely no real reason other than desire to make that many lots, together with, you know, circumventing our own policies as it relates to numbers of lots created by consent. Those are my concerns. I make my recommendations based on the policies. I remember, and I was here for the wrangling with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs on the lot size, and there was a lot of going back and forth. And the ministry's position, you know, because our argument, council's argument of the day was, we have a lot of undersized lots existing in the municipality, where that hectare is virtually, because the lots there's a road behind it or something like that. There's a lot of areas where physically the hectare is not achievable. And that was the argument that was given to, you know, as well as providing technical studies, which they have in this case. It's my belief that this property can easily sustain the 3 that were previously approved with the minor variance already granted, and that the 4 might be just pushing the envelope a tad, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Any other question or comments from the members? Oui, Monsieur Gagnon.
My main concern on this severance was basically answered, that if the Conservation Authority had already been there and agreed on the location even of a septic system on each of these lots, to me that was my main concern. But because the owner has gone through that process already, I'm ready to agree with this severance.
Okay. One thing maybe I should clarify that maybe is not clear, and I guess Paul won't like me very much, is that if I remember, and I'm certain age, so maybe my memory is not right on. One of the reasons that we were granted the, let's say, the 1 acre type of lot was to address situation where you have 2 property owner and the property in between, let's say form part of a farm or whatever, a larger estate, is only got 200 feet of frontage on the waterfront. So now you're creating 1 lot that you have to squeeze between 2 existing property because it's a different owner. So that's why, if I remember, and I could be wrong, the reason we were granted the possibility of approving a 1 acre lot, like or a 0.4 of a hectare is basically the same thing, right, Mr. Goodrich?
Correct.
Was the reason that we were allowed to do it, not to create 4 lots just plain out of sight, but to address situation where it would be impossible to create that lot and would be depriving the owner of that land. He might have 50 acre, but only 200 feet on lot frontage because he's squeezed between other owners or whatever. That was, if my recollection right, was the reason this exemption was granted. The Committee of Adjustment was granted the power to approve this and under these type of condition. But I won't argue it more than that because, like I said, my memory might not be perfect there. I see that Mr. Fern is looking at me. He was part of the deal. And do you have anything to add, Fern, to my statement? Or
Yeah,
against it?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Roberts, that at the time it was done like this. To say, like you say, if somebody had 350 feet, you want to sever two lots, then it could be made like an exception. To create 4 lots like this, it's more than an exception. But on the other hand, the Mattawa Conservation Authority gave the stamp on the 4 of them to me, which is the more important thing. It's it passed the test of the tile beds. As for the number of severance, it used to be that you were allowed to create 2 new lots, and a third one may be considered if on water. So that would apply in this instance. You've got 2 new lots plus a third one because if it's on water and the retain. So that's that.
So I guess now that I've got everybody confused, I guess I'll call it to a vote. Oh, yeah, Denis?
Wait, I just want to clarify, geez, I forgot what I wanted to ask. If you sever 2 lots and you wait, then you reapply and sever the other one, what's from preventing you from doing this? It's the same thing. So if we approve it now, all that we're preventing him from, he could sever 2 and then come back later on and sever the other one, right?
No,
No?
no,
Not the same owner.
no.
Oh, it's not the same one.
No,
No.
a new owner who bought it could come back and sever it.
Yeah. It's per owner, per property.
Okay.
Which is funny rules because it's the same property we're dealing with, but that's the way it's always
So-
been.
So is that gonna affect the precedents here? Are we setting precedents if we're allowing 3 lots? Even if it's been done in the past?
That is entirely within the policies. I've indicated in my documents what our policies are, what we're supposed to be adhering to. It's up to this committee to determine whether or not they feel that this application meets those policies or if a minor variance is warranted.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I guess end of discussion, so we'll call it to a vote. Everybody in favor as presented? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3, I guess that's a majority. Carried.
And on the minor variance,
Well, both
Okay.
both were dealt with together, so you approve one, you approve the other one.
Thanks,
and,
everybody.
and the last item on the agenda
Mm-hmm.
is we're going to revisit a confusing one from the previous month. When we did this, I'll just bring it up on the screen because it's a whole lot easier to
I
explain.
remember that one.
This application was before us last month, and the intent here was we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lot additions, a severed new lot, and a right of way. This is property that's located just at the corner of Aubry and Nipissing Street. This was a big, deep lot that was vacant for many, many years, which was acquired by the owner of, I believe, Lot 6. In order to maximize this, what the owner is proposing is to add on to these other lots, so everybody will have a longer backyard. They will have access off of Nipissing Street as well as from Aubry. They want to bring their boat in from the back or whatever, and to create these 2 lots at the end. In the conditions that were imposed, we lumped all the conditions together in the resolution, which included extending this road, building this turn circle, installing water and sewer and such and whatnot, without giving regard to the fact that he probably was going to need the money from the lot additions to build the road. So what is being requested here is clarification on which conditions apply to which, in order to allow the lot additions to proceed without having to meet the conditions of the new lots down here, which obviously need to have municipal services extended. These are just add-ons to backyards. They're not impacting any municipal services, nor do they need it. So the request here is to just clarify in the resolution is to clarify that condition 7 of the previous, so basically to state that the sewer and water conditions only apply to these 2 lots and the turn circle and the road construction, and that the easement, which has to be granted to the municipality for infrastructure here, will be dealt with, and the hydro easement will be dealt with. But these lots can proceed without having to deal with this road construction down here.
Yeah, I fully understand that. That makes sense. Any question or comments from any of the members? So basically, what do we have a resolution?
I
there?
do.
Oh, you do. Okay, so
I
please
just wanted
read
to
it.
explain it before I read it. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Yes. It says, whereas provisional consent to create 1 new lot, 6 lot additions and a right of way was granted by the Committee of Adjustment on the 13th day of September 2021. And whereas the Committee of Adjustment for the West Nipissing Municipality has requested a change of conditions pursuant to section 5123 as follows. Conditions 7 and 8 shall apply to severed 1 and the retained only. Condition 9 shall apply to the retained portion. Condition 6 shall apply to the severed 2 and retained, and that the notice of change of condition shall be waived in accordance with section 5326 of the Act. So this change isn't going to require circulation to all the neighbors. That's what that last paragraph is. So essentially, the 3-meter easement to Greater Sudbury stays in place. The easement to the municipality stays in place. The building of the road and the extension of services is applied only to the new lots at the end of Levite.
So you mentioned that this will have to be posted to circulated again.
No, that I had included that it be waived, that the circulation be waived. I didn't.
Oh, be way,
It's-
okay, sorry,
it's
I did.
we have the authority at this level. This committee has the authority to determine whether the change is significant enough to warrant recirculation or not. I don't think that what we're asking for here, we're just simply allowing the sales of the lot additions to go forward.
I think it's more of a, what they call a housekeeping amendment than a legislative amendment. So I think I don't see any problem, but any comments or questions from the members? Yes, Paul, I think we're in favor of it there. Can I carry on?
And I don't want to screw that up at this point. But
Okay.
Don'll kill me tomorrow morning if I do. Just a point of clarification, though, the Greater Sudbury hydro easement that's required, it's still required
Mhm.
on the retained and the severed. And it was initially proposed for the severed 2, which is just a lot addition.
I'm not taking it off,
No, and that's
and I'm
fine.
not letting that go forward without it, because I
No,
have
no,
no way to
no.
compel that guy to give the easement.
Yes, we understand that. That's the point of clarification. What we're asking for is a direction. The lawyer is Alain Michel, but
Mhm.
in order to allow the lot addition to happen and get a certificate, the lawyer is willing to sign a lawyer's undertaking that as soon as he can get the paperwork through with the Greater Sudbury Hydro, that he will register that easement for them. But that would still allow the lot addition severance and consent certificate to be issued, even though the easement is not technically in place. The
Is there
owner,
a reason why there's a,
well, because everything still has to go through Greater Sudbury Hydro, and we've already got, we've
they're super
postponed.
fast. They're super fast.
Well, yeah,
I
but
think-
we
I
can't
think
count
too
on them
is-
being super fast.
I think
We,
too is
If Alain Michel will give me his personal undertaking to see that it's done, then we'll talk.
Okay. perfect.
Okay. So you make sure you give him the message that he has to talk to me then.
The difficulty and just for clarification for those, once a property is sold and it's in another name, it's a lot more complicated to add an easement because then you got to add the easement onto that property with that owner, and then you got to add it onto this property with this owner. If it's added on while the property's all in one name, it's just way cleaner and quicker to do.
Okay, Mr. Gagnon?
I'm getting confused here, but is Severed 2 going to be tied to lot 7 and
Yes.
not?
Yes,
So that will not be like a usable or a buildable lot.
No,
Okay, so there'll only be 2 sellable lot, which will be Severed 1 and retained, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
good.
so we're all clear?
Mhm.
Any more question? Hearing none, I'll call it to a vote. Everybody in favor as presented? Carried.
wonderful. Thanks again.
So I guess we are at the adjournment party.
unless everybody would want to have another conversation, we can stay another half an hour, no?
No, well, I had budgeted until 9:30, so.
We won't talk to Mr. Motorbell. The rest of us are tired. Let's have a mover and a seconder to go home.
Okay.
Roger. It is moved by Denise Senecal and seconded by Raji Gagnon. Be it resolved that the West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment meeting is adjourned to December the 13th, 2021.
Everyone in favor? Carried.
Quick turnaround on the next meeting. No hints. I'm speaking
Okay.
to Paul. If he has applications, they'll have to be, get them in here quickly because the next meeting's in short order.
And Don,
Always.
you have to get cracking there. There was one application was supposed to be in for tonight you didn't put in.
Oh, yes, I did. Just didn't get
You
in
did?
in time. Didn't get in time.
Oh, so
It's-
whatever. I have to, I have
It's-
to pass the buck on to you, and I did the proposed new owner will give me a call when I get home, and I'll tell them it's all your fault.
Yeah, go ahead. It's normal.
They told me they were related to you anyway.
We done here or what?
Eh?
We're
Melanie,
done.
are we adjourned? Okay, I'm tired.
We're just-
Good night.
Good evening, everybody,
Which
and
application is that?
okay,
Laverne
good night,
Drive.
everyone.
Which one?
It was one on Laverne Drive, a 3-way split, I believe.
Right.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it's
good.
Norm's granddaughter, so if it gets
Okay.
approved on the 13th, Norm, you can give her a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.